Hi, I'm Sarah Gibbs. I'm an environmental science major at Northeastern University.
I'm Isabel Drews. I'm studying chemical and biological engineering at Colorado State University.
Hi, I'm Inga Fullman. I'm studying geography at Eichstätt University.
And I'm Jen Adams, and I'm studying chemical engineering at the University of Cincinnati.
And today we're going to discuss geothermal co-production and hybrid systems. So our original thought for this project was, can geothermal drilling be in the same place as current established fracking sites in the United States? And as we started to do research, we found out that yes, not only they can do this, but there's a laboratory already working on it. And that's NREL, which stands for the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. They're based in Golden, Colorado. They were established in 1991, and they're a subdivision of the Department of Energy. And their most recent project is a geothermal and gas and oil co-production. So their goal is to work directly with fracking companies to slowly establish geothermal drilling sites within their already established facilities in order to slowly transition them into completely geothermal. So it's not an immediate switch, it's a very gradual transition. So we determined that there's a very similar mapping of geothermal and fracking sites within the US. So here's a picture of the different geothermal reservoirs in the US. The darker colors, more towards the western side of the country, are darker. That means there's a higher temperature and it's a more optimal place to drill for electricity production. The lighter colors, like the greens and the yellows, which are more on the eastern side of the country, show that there's a lower temperature, but it's still very optimal to do district heating. So when you compare it with the current fracking sites, you can see that there's actually a very similar layout. So in Colorado and Wyoming, there's a very large area of fracking already happening, and there's a pretty dark color going on already with the geothermal reservoirs. Something that's also super interesting is that there's a very sharp line on the southeast of Texas with a geothermal reservoir, and the exact same line is present on the fracking sites that are already there. So now that we've determined that this is very viable, we can go forward and work with NREL for the rest of our project.
So then where we come in, once we decided and figured out that it was viable for this co-production of geothermal and oil and gas, that they can use the same resources to extend the technologies and profits of both of these industries, we have decided to develop a training program basically to integrate employees between these two industries. So fracking and oil and gas production is becoming more and more automated. All of their equipment is getting to the point where it can be remotely controlled by computers, and where it cuts down on the need for employees to be physically out on these sites. So seeing how this is going to work, people are going to be losing their jobs if they're not needed in a technical operating position anymore. So we want to develop a program that will allow those employees, those operators who already have the technical skills to work for geothermal production companies, keeping their jobs, educating them about green and renewable energy resources. So again, like I said, they already have these technical skills. They know how to do maintenance. They know how to proper safety and production standards on these really big industrial pieces of equipment. And so this would cut down on a learning curve that would come with hiring an entirely new batch of employees onto geothermal production plants. And this then continues to eliminate costs for other training programs that would be hiring on these new employees, as well as keeps companies in the oil and gas field, it keeps their employees and keeps that, it nurtures the relationship that they already have established between them and the communities that they're working in. So in order to develop this project even more, we will need contacts at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory and then the oil and gas companies, so that we can figure out what they need in order to make this a viable project and bring one side to another. And again, this, like Sarah said, this is not an immediate transition from one to the next, but it's eliminating the idea of a binary between these two types of industries, that it's not either fossil fuels or renewable energy. It's showing that they can use the same resources to produce the same end goal, and that they can work together to figure out how to keep the energy options that we have available in the United States and across the world, and make sure that people who are getting profits through either one continue to get those same profits and make the money that they need to while still producing their products. So again, this is getting communities involved. We think that doing recruitments at different colleges where these oil wells and geothermal wells are happening, and asking for volunteers who are passionate and excited, like we all are, about developing renewable energy technologies would be a really cool way to continue to educate people all across the United States and across the world about how viable this is. Asking volunteers to spend their time teaching people and educating them about how to really continue to integrate these two industries.
Right, so obviously developing a training program like this does cost quite a lot of money. So what are the costs that has to be covered? Well, the main part are the cost for the salary of the experts. So obviously we need experts coming in to help us develop this program. And we need 2 experts. We need one from a fracking company and one from a geothermal company. And we're saying that that would be about $6,000. Now, where did we get this number from? Well, we just said that the annual salary of an expert is $72,000 a year. So it would take roughly 2 weeks of work to develop a training program like this. So that would be calculating down from the annual salary to $3,000 per expert. Times this by 2, just because there's 2 experts, so that would be $6,000. Then there would also be the travel expenses for the volunteers, because we don't want them to pay their own travel to the sites. Depending on the program, obviously, it will vary depending on distance between volunteers and the sites, but for our case study at a mine in in Casper, Wyoming, it would be $80 per program, because the volunteers would be traveling from Golden, where the Colorado School of Mines is based at, to Casper, Wyoming, which is roughly 290 miles. So that would be roughly a tank of $40, which will go 300 miles. So $40 for one way, $80 for return for one car. One car can fit up to 4 people, and 4 people is enough for one program running at one site. Then we've also got the training material costs. So printouts, papers, pens, stuff like that, and that would be roughly $100 per program at each site. And then obviously also the cost of recruiting volunteers, which we can't really say yet, because it obviously depends. At the beginning there will be a lot more cost in recruiting volunteers, but once the program is set up, this will go down, because we've already got our volunteers working for us. Yeah, but numbers that should be included in this is the cost of advertising on the internet, the cost of printing suppliers to put at universities, cost of other volunteers traveling to new universities, telling new people about the program. So, yeah. So how are we funding this program? Well, we were thinking about 2 ways of funding it. The first one was by offering the service directly to Anvil, and there's a case study in which a enhanced geothermal system COLA project has been awarded a $9 million grant by the DOE's Geothermal Technologies Office. And we think if a program like this can get a grant by the DOE, we might be able to get one as well. But obviously that's not safe, so we have to find another way of funding, and that would be for the fracking companies to pay it, because obviously they will benefit eventually from it. If they run out of shale gas, they can move on to geothermal. Also, they can change their image, which obviously quite a lot of people think is bad with fracking, and they can change it and think, well, we're also investing in clean energy, so it will make them look good as well. So they should be able to pay for it as well.
So why is a project such as this one important? Well, 97% of climate scientists agree that human activity is driving the Earth's climate crisis. And we know that this is happening, and we know one major reason why, and that's our burning of fossil fuels. Carbon pollution from these fossil fuels is one of the main contributors to our crisis here on Earth. Their use is warming our planet and throwing our natural systems out of balance. This can be seen in the hotter temperatures, the stronger storms, the rising sea levels, and so many more. By integrating these cleaner energy sources such as geothermal energy, we will not be able to necessarily eliminate fossil fuel usage, but minimize its demand and prevent the growth of these negative results in the future. So with this project, we're going to focus on 3 of the major sustainable development goals. The first one is affordable and clean energy. And we're going to focus on this by utilizing the capabilities of geothermal energy and shifting the focus away from solely fossil fuels. We also plan to focus on decent work and economic growth by keeping these fracking jobs that are already there and providing them with sustainable job responsibilities for the future. Lastly, we plan to focus on the responsible consumption and production goal by creating an energy source for the people that does not have nearly the same negative effects that the current ones do. So where else can this go in the future? We know with traditional geothermal systems, they normally are only efficient in areas with certain geological characteristics, and that's heat, fluid, and permeability. Hopefully, by participating in this project and advancing the research, we will be able to bypass these geographic limitations and make geothermal energy sources more viable in more places. We also hope to educate the current fracking employees on the benefits of renewable energy and what that can do for their companies in the future. Like I said before, we will have these research advancements, which could lead to more efficient systems and higher energy production, and then therefore higher profit for the companies. So although most of these are just like predictions at this point, we hope that the geothermal co-production, it looks to have a positive output in the future.
Okay, first question coming from Morgan at the university. So he said, thanks for the presentation. This is a big business actually, and one of the services ISE offers. You're right in thinking you need to piecemeal funding for training programs, as grants for funding almost always requires co-financing. So convincing fracking firms to invest in geothermal will definitely require some changes in how they perceive the resource, and ONG, hot water, and steam are the enemy. So that's just one small thing. Do you have any response for that? Or just...
Thanks, Brooke. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that so much of this not only includes development of new technologies and investment of resources and money in this research, but it is a change in culture of oil and gas employees and companies, because they've been very resistant to renewable energy because they think, oh, people who, like these liberals, want us to lose all of our jobs, where that's not the case. And in implementing a program like this is actively saying, no, we don't want you to lose your jobs. Here's how we're going to help that actively. So yeah, it is a cultural shift, but I think it can be done.
Questions, guys?
Yeah.
I just had a question. You guys were saying that you could probably get financing through like the natural gas companies themselves. I was wondering if most of these natural gas companies in which you looked in already had like a geothermal sector of their stuff, or would they have to invest a whole like bunch of money to make that happen, or is it something that's already there?
So what NREL is doing, and this is kind of like what we're going off of, most of these fracking companies don't have this kind of technology that they've invested in already, but NREL has figured out that basically you don't need to invest much, because the biggest cost of geothermal production is the drilling. So we've already got the site, so really you're only getting like one new drill. So a lot of it is not really the technical part, but more of the training side of it. And in addition to that, in like Exxon and Halliburton and Shell,
on all their websites, they'll have something about geothermal technology and say, yeah, we're investing in this. And so by, again, implementing a program like this, it's putting like substance behind things that they're already claiming, even if they don't have that technology already.